Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, rather had fun,
Well,
Okay.
you are you're grinding away and you're winning a lot of matches. And
Yeah.
so whatever you've been doing at Chicken and Pickle in Oklahoma City has been working. Last
Yeah.
tournament you beat Ben and Fed pretty unanimously the 1 and 2. And last time we had done a power ranking, we had them in a league of their own.
Yeah.
And then 7 or 8 guys right in that second tier. So what clicked? How you take us through that?
So, I mean, I don't get the opportunity to play those guys very often. I play a full APP schedule. I'm sure we might talk about that in a little bit. But so I know when I get to play PPA, I kind of have to maximize my opportunities, take advantage. So, I believe in myself. I believe in my game. So when I go into the matches, I think that I can win. I think if you go into a match, thinking that it's going to be close or thinking, they might have a little bit of an edge over you, I think you'll probably end up losing that match. So, I go in thinking I'm going to win, and that's what happened those matches. I know if we played 10 times, it might be split, or I don't know what the result would be, but I definitely believe in myself when I go into it.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
how
how
long
would
have you
you-
Oh, whoa,
Go ahead.
Zane, come on, dude. It's my turn.
Hey, you told me I needed to carry, so here I am trying to carry.
Well, I don't even remember my question. So Zane, you go ahead while I think of whatever I was going to say. I'm sure it was brilliant.
So, Chris, how would you describe your style? Because it seems a little bit different than the current meta, than the way that Ben and Fed and a lot of others are playing.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely play like a tennis style. I came from a tennis background, obviously. So when I play singles, like I know in my head that the point can be ended with any shot. So I kind of go into every point like that. Even if I'm in trouble, like I might go for a ball that maybe you shouldn't go for, but I know the risk pays off a lot of the time. So I just kind of try to rip balls by people. If I get a ball in the midcourt, I'm going to try to pass someone. If I can get to the net, I try to get to the net. But definitely a power game for sure.
Mm-hmm. And your ground strokes, I think we actually had this conversation at the lab the other day. I was playing a baseline game with somebody or another where the entire court is a kitchen. Basically, it's like tennis style. It's baseline only singles. And I was like, who in the world would be the absolute best at this game?
Yeah.
And I thought Chris Haworth.
Yeah, I would own that game.
How have you gotten so just like grooved on your passing shots so quickly?
Yeah, so when I played tennis, I was a baseliner. I'm a pretty tall guy. I'm like 6'4", so you would think I had like big serve, big ground strokes, and I had the big ground strokes, but I didn't have the big serve. So college tennis, my coach told me, and he was like, if you had a big serve, I feel like you would maybe be not in college, you'd be on the tour. So pickleball is really a perfect scenario for me because it takes the serve out of play and just uses all my strengths. So, the ground strokes just come from tennis, I would say.
Gotcha. Do you like, are you doing anything special training them while you're back at home in Oklahoma City?
Yeah, well, I do a lot of drop feeds. So I hit a lot of just dead balls. I'll hit, an hour of day of just 30 minutes forehands, 30 minutes backhand, someone just dropping the ball on me, trying to create different spins or go to different places on the court. That's mainly my singles practice. Other than that, I'm mostly practicing doubles. I know the results in doubles haven't come, but that's mostly what I'm practicing.
Yeah, and you can club the ball like that. Like they're coming relatively soon. And I like you. I really like you partnering up with Grayson, which we'll get to as well.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
So do you think in a world where we're playing baseline only pickleball and you cannot volley, you think you're number one?
Yeah, so I watch a lot of women's singles too. I'm like, man, I wish that men's singles was like this. I would love to get in some like 10, 15 ball baseline rallies. Yeah, that would definitely be my groove for sure.
All right, so who's number 2 behind Chris Haworth in baseline only singles?
I mean, Fed and Ben they're so consistent. They don't have the baseline strokes, but they play a lot of cat and mouse. So I don't know. I gotta say, my boy Grayson. I mean, I know he's up and coming, but his ground strokes are next level. Also, we played a few matches. We played a couple of APP finals, and we're both just ripping the ball from the baseline.
Yeah, interesting. I want to put together a tournament like that.
Yeah.
Singles tournament, baseline only.
Let me know.
I think it would be so entertaining. I actually think the points would be wild. So you sort of, I would say, like burst onto the scene, on the full scene, when you did end up beating Ben for the first time in Dallas.
Yeah.
But you had won the APP New York previous to that, or
No, that was
that this year?
no. So I didn't have any golds on APP or PPA until 2024. So like I said, I turned full-time pro in August of last year. And when I beat Ben was in November. So I was super fresh into it still, but it had been a couple months. Yeah.
That was kind of right in the middle of the launch of the new gearbox paddle during that time,
It was
which
the same week,
you
actually.
did
So
not use, correct? You didn't
so I
use
used the control. I didn't use the pro power. I used the pro control.
Mhm.
The power for me, I hit the ball pretty hard, so it was a little bit too much. I'd hit a clean shot and it would go 3 or 4 feet out. But yeah, I used the control of that match that I beat Ben, and it was a good paddle for me.
This episode is also brought to you by Pickleball Match Tracker, which is just a great gift for pickleball junkies. The Pickleball Match Tracker is brought to you by Adams Media and Trey Sizemore, who's the founder of pickleballhut.com. And it includes like the history of the game, glossary of pickleball slang and terms. It's got sections to record scores, rate skills, capture intricacies of match day like wind, weather, challenging plays, and match highlights. And it's just a great gift for the pickleball junkie in your life, so check them out. It's the Pickleball Match Tracker. You can look at the link in the description or on the screen here.
So, do you work with a coach?
Yeah, so I'm actually at my coach's house right now. There's a pickleball court in the background. I was hoping to face it, but the lighting wasn't working out for us. So yeah, I have a coach in Edmond, and she's actually the one that got me started in pickleball. I used to give her tennis lessons, and she'd played pickleball for several years before that. She kind of told me about the career opportunities and, thought that my skill set would transfer over. So we've switched roles, and now she coaches me and I work with her, most days of the week, and she tries to travel as much as she can. But yeah, I try to get on court with her a lot.
Nice. So she's the one who's doing drop feeds and whatnot
Drop
to
feeds
you and
all
all
day
that
long.
stuff.
Yeah.
Now, is she giving you strategy tips, technique tips? Like,
Yeah,
well, what is this?
A little bit of both. Obviously, when I first started, it was a little bit more technique and how the differences, from tennis to pickleball are. Now it's a lot more strategy. It's a lot of mental. I think singles is really tough mentally. You can, the highs are high and the lows are lows. You can really not feel great out there. So during a tournament, it's mostly mental. When we're here, it's a little bit more technical, though.
So this might be a dumb question, but like, what made her qualified, and why did you trust this person with your game, right? Like,
yeah, she played a lot of senior pro, and she had a lot of success there. But I didn't really look at that. I look more about personality and how we connect with each other on the court. And, the conversations we're able to have on the court and the banter. I think that's what it takes for like a professional level coach. Even on the tennis side, I think there's a lot of people that know technique, but the people that you can connect with and go back and forth with and, problem solve, I think that's the biggest thing for a coach right now.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a strange spot for coaching, right? Because in every other sport, coaching is a huge thing. In pickleball, it's not. And I'm personally certainly open to coaching. I struggle with, how do I know that this person is going to be smarter in this than me, right? Like, I've been playing.
I think that
go ahead.
Most sports, the coaches come from professional players, where, in pickleball, we don't have that. There was no professional game 10 years ago. So, yeah, I think it's a different look than like professional tennis or any other professional sport where you kind of have to develop the relationships more.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to change. I mean, you're already seeing some players like Kyle McKenzie, Morgan Evans, even Adam Stone a little bit.
Yeah,
sort of switching over to the coaching roles, and I think we're going to see more of that. I'm sure I'm also missing a couple other people.
Yeah,
but I would struggle personally just thinking that maybe it's just because I'm an asshole, but I would think I know more than most people.
Yeah.
Which, I think it is good always to have a fresh set of eyes, at least somebody to suggest something. And I'm sure, if your coach started telling you that you need to switch to a one-handed backhand, that might be something that you might ignore, given that your two-handed backhand is money.
Yeah, I
But
think that's why it's more mental right now in pickleball for coaching. For myself at least, like there's only so many, especially on the singles side. There's only so many strategies you can use. So having someone that's able to calm you down and just lock you in, I think that's super important.
mhm. So is this something that you would be willing to share? Do you have anything interesting that you do in that regard to get you into what you feel like is your ideal mental state?
Yeah, I mean it's not anything super interesting, and you can probably see it on the court. I try to stay pretty level. I think when I get super high on emotions, then I don't play well, and when I'm super low on emotions, I don't play well. So for me, like staying right in that middle zone is really important. I kind of have like a 5 second rule. So after a point, like you can get pissed for 5 seconds, or you can celebrate for 5 seconds, but after that, you kind of have to think about the next point and lock in. So that's something that I really try to do in my singles matches.
I like that a lot.
Yeah,
I think that could help both of the Dink podcast hosts.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, rather had fun